Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host, Tom Downey. Let's dive into the latest rumors around the Cowboys. First up, could Byron Jones become the highest-paid cornerback in the NFL? I'm going to give this one 2 stars. I think there's a pretty good chance of it happening, and if it's not highest paid, it's going to be pretty close to it. Now, The Athletic put out their, bold prediction article. This one really not that bold. Jones has had 2 great years at corner. That is a fact. I'm tired of arguing over it regardless of the interceptions. And if Jones hits the open market, that means more money. That's simply how free agency works. And quite frankly, the cornerback market is kind of due for a reset here. And maybe that's Jalen Ramsey, who will at some point be higher paid than Byron Jones, probably very quickly there. Now, if Byron Jones does become the highest paid cornerback in the NFL, I don't think it's with the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think they're going to value him in that way. Lack of interceptions is a fair concern, but he's a lockdown cover guy. I'll take that. Now, to become the highest paid corner in the NFL, Byron Jones must surpass Xavier Howard, who barely beat Josh Norman on an extension at $15.05 million. 15.1, that's all Byron's got to reach. I think once Jalen Ramsey gets paid, he's going to set up a significant market shift. And I figure at minimum, Byron's going to be looking for the Marcus Peters deal, which was pretty much right at $14 million. So that's the general price range that you're looking at here for Byron Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we'll talk more about here, namely what teams could make sense for him. But first, I want to know from you guys. Would you make Byron Jones the highest paid cornerback in the NFL? In a bubble, the answer is no. He's not the best cornerback in the NFL. The problem is, that's just not how contracts work in the NFL. I wish it were, it's just not how they operate. There is no cap in terms of individual players. Maybe they can get quarterbacks one day, but that's the reality. So type Y for yes, N for no. I expect to see more no's, and I do understand that. I will make this the pinned comment on this video. So if you get hit with an ad break on YouTube, just scroll on down and type your votes right there. All right, now more Byron here. The reason why I think it makes some sense is teams need corners. The Dolphins, yeah, they paid Howard. They can do whatever they want in free agency. $90 million. They're in great shape there. Denver might lose Chris Harris. Houston, they could make a move for a corner. Could dump Vernon Hargreaves, save even more money there. The Raiders are still looking for cornerback help. Byron makes a ton of sense. There's already buzz around the Eagles, and I'll tell you what, if Byron goes to Philadelphia, I'd bet a lot of money on him getting an interception against the Dallas Cowboys. Those are just some of the teams that make sense for Byron, be it at 13, be it at 14, be it at 15, or even in a potential Quan Alexander-esque bidding war or C.J. Mosley-esque bidding war that we saw last year that totally reset the linebacker market. Let's move on to Dak Prescott. This one, I am frustrated by it, but it's what's being talked about, and I feel like I have to. What about a sign-and trade for Dak Prescott? Although technically possible, I feel this is very unlikely. I'm going to give it the 1 star for a variety of reasons. Number 1, look, the Cowboys get worse if they do this. That's the reality of the situation. Now, this is a popular topic among radio right now as they look to fill airtime and all that kind of stuff. It's also not nearly as simple as some might think for a variety of reasons. The biggest being, I know we're used to massive sign-and trades in the NBA. Doesn't really happen in the NFL. I mean, Clowney kind of did that. There were a couple of players last year, D Ford, Frank Clark, who got signed and traded, but it's never the quarterback. And the biggest reason is NFL teams, you can argue if they're doing this, they typically don't like paying players $30 million and giving up premium draft picks. That's not how NFL teams operate for the most part. Heck, Clowney got a 3rd rounder. And, by the way, because it is a franchise tag of Dak Prescott, what that means is that Dak cannot sign the tender, which he's not going to do because he's not an idiot, gives up all of his leverage that way, and then he can have some input as to where he ends up going. Now, look, we know what the money looks like for Dak, and I'll make this point again. I don't think it's the per-year number that's the issue. I think it's far more of the details. How's the money structured? Is it not really the per-year number that would be reported? Is it lower? What's the guarantees look like? How long is the deal? What are the incentives? What are the roster bonuses? How is the structure? The stuff that is easy is figuring out, okay, how much per year should we give you? The tough part is, okay, how do we get to that per year figure? Now, there are teams that need a quarterback. Don't get me wrong on that one. And if it was just free agency, a team like the Dolphins, the Colts, the Raiders, Chargers, Bengals, Bucks, all kind of teams would be like, ooh, we could have a worse Tom Brady for 30, or throw an extra $5 million at Dak Prescott, and boom, now we're talking. But in terms of adding on a draft pick, if it's a high draft pick, it gets a little bit dicey. And of course, most importantly, if you're the Cowboys, what are you doing at quarterback? We have one option coming up in a second that we'll dive into. But first, I want to remind you guys that Valentine's Day is coming up. If you want to save 15% off flowers and gifts, head over to chatsports.com/flowers. That will save you 15% off everything on the site. It is almost Valentine's Day. Do it now before you forget. Avoid the doghouse, and to help you out, I've got that link in the comments and in the description of this video. Now, one potential option here is Teddy Bridgewater. And you guys, you watch our NFL Daily, you watch Cowboys Report, you know I like Teddy. I'm a big Teddy Bridgewater fan. I've been that way since he came out of Louisville when I said he was the best quarterback in that draft class. I give it 1 star. It is an option, but much like this, it's a little bit unlikely. Now, inside the star was like, maybe you can make a case for Teddy Bridgewater. And you can make a case for Teddy. I don't think it's a strong case, but in terms of if you have to break glass in case of emergency, and the Dak relationship for whatever reason falls by the wayside, Bridgewater is among the better options. Now, the claim in that article was based on the Spotrac expectation, which almost always comes in lower, by the way. It's like, $20 million per year. That's great. As we'll dive into, though, that's not really what it's going to end up looking like. And the reality is, Teddy Bridgewater is not better than Dak Prescott. So if you ignore the money, I think this question's pretty obvious. It is P for Dak Prescott. And I know there will forever be Dak Prescott haters. It's the nature of being the Cowboys quarterback. Y'all hated Romo too, or at least some of you guys did. Not all of you did, but several of you did. I think it's a pretty clear P, and I got the numbers to back it up. Now, the completion percentage was a bit higher for Teddy Bridgewater. Look at where they were throwing the football, though. On average, ADOT, that's how far downfield the depth of target is. Dak Prescott was over 9 yards, almost a first down every time he threw the damn football is where he was going with the ball. By the way, that's top 5 in the NFL, or top 6. Teddy Bridgewater, 6.2, he's dead last in the NFL, guys. So the mythical argument of Dak being a dink and dunk quarterback, it's a lie. If you see people using that, that means they're not paying attention to what happens in the NFL. They are simply wrong. Teddy Bridgewater, though, as much as I like him, that's his game. He's a dink and dunk quarterback. Now, he's good at it. He's effective with it. But if you're worried about being limited at quarterback, that's Teddy Bridgewater way more than Dak Prescott is, even though I do like both. I like Dak better. Now, you could save money going from Dak to Teddy. And that's, I think, the crux of the argument of, okay, that kind of makes sense. And if I could get Teddy at 20, I actually would be intrigued by that, because I'm saving up to $15 million at that point. The problem is, guys, I'm not getting Teddy at $20 million. Now, he might sign for less if he sticks with the Saints if he takes a discount. But if he hits the open market, folks, there's going to be a bidding war. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm taking Teddy over Jacoby Brissett. I'm taking Teddy over Nick Foles. I'm taking Teddy over Joe Flacco. I'm taking Teddy over Alex Smith. Those deals are old. I might not take him over Jimmy Garoppolo. That's probably on the higher end. But I would venture to say Teddy gets $25 million. That is a whole $10 million more per year. But frankly, I think Dak's still worth it at that point. I would rather invest overly so at quarterback. Yes, they're overpaid. Welcome to life in the NFL. I don't think the options are all that great. Quite simply put here, I think Dak Prescott is your best bet of all the options over the next 5 years of winning a Super Bowl. It's not a guarantee. Nothing is. There's certainly risk involved. But I'm trying to win when I got a good roster. And I have a good roster. And I can pay other players on this team. I'm more worried about that if I'm the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know the Dak replacement rumors are picking up steam, so let me know in the comments if this is something you want. A potential Dak replacements video just in case. I don't think it happens, but just in case. Type 3 for yes, 4 for no, and if you want that, hit that big red button and subscribe. Let's talk draft now. Xavier McKinney and Grant Delpit. What's going on this front here? I'm going to give this one 2 stars. I know many of you want Grant Delpit, and understandably so, but I do think there is at least a chance, and frankly, I'll take it one step further. I think there's a pretty good argument for McKinney over Grant Delpit. It really comes down to what type of safety do you want to have? Do you want to play a little bit safer? Do you want the guy who's not going to miss as many tackles and might not make the same number of splash plays, but can also cover tight ends? I think that's Xavier McKinney. Or do you want to go with the guy who might end up being the all-pro safety? The guy who does miss tackles and was not as good in 2019 as he was in 2018. Well, that's Grant Delpit. Both these guys are worthy of a late first-round pick, but it's a discussion worth having. So pick one before we really dive into the comparison here. Type M for McKinney or D for Grant Delpit. I think it's a fair discussion, and frankly, it's tougher and tougher for me the more I watch of each player as I keep going back to Grant Delpit because it just frustrates me. M for McKinney, D for Delpit. Here are their last 2 years of their stats. Now, I did not include missed tackles. I haven't charted all those numbers. I haven't got the charts quite yet. Delpit missed a lot more. Delpit missed a lot of tackles this year. It was not good. I don't think his shoulder was right. He's kind of banged up this year. But Delpit was so good in 2018. Then took a step back this year. That's a red flag. This is a discussion worth having. And maybe you can throw in some other things I like in later rounds. Now, because of my other needs, I'm actually kind of getting to the point where I might pass on safety at 17. I'm back on that train a little bit. But there are some good safety prospects this year. There really are. You got Grant Delpit, you got Xavier McKinney, Ashton Davis, Brandon Jones, Antoine Winfield, and of course, the guy we've mentioned before, Kyle Duggar too. All of them fit different molds, different archetypes. You've got options at that position, and with really Xavier Woods and Donovan Wilson under contract, you got to find some this offseason if you're the Dallas Cowboys. Now, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. The promo code is Cowboys120. The Combine's in prime time this year. Last year, they had a whole bunch of prop bets. I won a ton of money on the prop bets because I pretty have a good feeling for how fast these guys are going to run. There's some great 40-time prop bets on there. So if you want to win some money with me, go sign up on BetDSI. It's chatsports.com/bet. That promo code, Cowboys120. Next up on the Rumors Roundup, how about re-signing Anthony Brown? I hear your groans, but I say wait. 3 stars on this one. I actually think it makes a bit of sense here for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, in a bubble, of course, you're going to prefer Anthony Brown prefer Byron Jones to Anthony Brown, because Brown didn't play all that well last year, and he got hurt too, and he regressed this year. Plain and simple, there's no way around it. But Anthony Brown has proven he can be a top 3 corner. If you don't believe me, look at some of the other cornerback situations around the NFL. I know we expect a lot out of our players. I don't think we realize at times just how dire it is elsewhere, or even how average it is elsewhere. Anthony Brown is a nice number 3 corner. Now, he should have been number 4 for the past 2 years, but he can be a number 3 if you absolutely need him to be. And for the Cowboys, you might need him to be. So if you can get Anthony Brown on a cheap 1-year deal when all you've got is a Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, I am intrigued by that. Now, I'm not saying you re-sign Anthony Brown and you're fine at corner. You are absolutely not. But if you re-sign Anthony Brown and draft somebody, if you do lose Anthony Brown, I feel better about that cornerback room. I'm not going to pay him a lot of money, but if I can get him for a cheap 1-year deal or even a cheaper 2-year deal with little guaranteed money, buy low because he's coming off injury, I am intrigued by that. And that's my assumption that that's what he ends up going for. If you agree, type 1. If you disagree, type 2. But I feel pretty good about this one. I say bring back Brown if, of course, he ends up being cheap for the Dallas Cowboys. This one's interesting to end the show. How about bringing in Aldon Smith? My initial thought was, hold up, I don't think so. And then I went, well, no, wait. I'll give it 1 star. I appreciate the outside-the-box thinking in this article from Inside the Star, but it's still bordering on fake news for me. He is working with Jay Glazer, who trains a bunch of NFL players. Some great news is he's now sober, so at that level, that's awesome for Aldon Smith. He was last arrested back in June, which obviously not great, but sober now. He's 30 years old, hasn't played in the NFL since 2015. Jim Tomsula, who coached him in San Francisco, is now in Dallas. You have some needed edge. I can't technically rule it out, but I'd be so surprised. Maybe I should have given it fake news. I just don't want to deal with it. We've been through David Irving. We've been through Randy Gregory. I don't want to do it times 3. I don't want to deal with it again. I say no. If you could promise me a clean, healthy, and sober and productive Aldon, of course I'm going to do it. I just don't think you're going to do that. By the way, you always ask me about Randy Gregory. Guys, I'm sorry. I know nothing that's going on there. Something went wrong this past year that caused him to not reapply for reinstatement. When we get news, I promise you, we will let you know. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.